Yo, we are back. It's been 6 months. I don't know, something like that. Probably long enough to for someone to have a baby. 9 months.
I don't know.
I don't know. Something like that.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Hot minute.
I know. But I mean, I feel like we just got, and again, we get really busy in our schedule sometimes. As much as we have, I don't keep saying our schedules because I think we should make a better effort of doing a podcast more consistent, which we will.
Absolutely.
Because I also have to tell you, I forgot I have 2 other people lined up. I have Spencer and Parker.
Damn.
Lined up.
Those are 2 good people to do it too as well.
Yeah. Those are the 2 guys that we have. But yeah, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah, right. Now. Yeah.
We are, I just forgot to tell you that, just so you know.
I appreciate that. So y'all stay tuned.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the homie Spence.
On the way.
Yeah.
You know Spencer?
Yeah.
Okay, see, look.
It's high school.
It's small world, bro.
Yeah.
Super small.
So if you are listening and not watching the YouTube, there's a guy here. He's our guest, our first guest on season 2.
Yep.
We're going to call it episode 1, season 2.
Yeah.
Of season 2, but yes,
might be season 3. I don't know. We could break it up. Just on there first.
The reunion tour.
Literally.
But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and let Matt introduce him because him and Matt go back. I think, from what I heard, way back.
Talking about, look, man, this guy right here, he been, I mean, shit, one of the coolest cats. One of the people within this industry that I probably trust the most. We've collabed a couple of times, and we've always wanted to just, keep the juice flowing, man. But anytime I come around, I feel like I always say it. I don't know if I've ever told you, but I always say when I refer to you, I'm like, man, it's like one of my mentors, man. Because I remember before I even started training, he was training, and I kind of looked up to him, and he was like the gym that we trained at, right? We was training at the Y. This almost 10 years ago,
Almost
right?
10 years, yeah.
And that's when I first came in, and I think I started at just wiping down equipment and just trying to get my foot in the door. And it's crazy too, just small story. Back then, I came to initially start training, and the person there didn't want to hire me as a trainer. And then one of a close mutual friend of ours, he was like, nah, I'm gonna keep you because I know you're gonna be good. I know it. So I'm gonna keep you. I'm gonna let you, just do the basic stuff and just wipe down things. But I bring this story up because this is my feel good story. I always tell people, man, when I first got into this industry, the very first opportunity I got, the person did not want to hire me. And I told myself afterwards, fuck that. I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna prove this person wrong. He knows who this person is. You know what I'm saying? She ain't even in the industry no more. I don't even know where she at. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Not to wish no bad nothing on nobody.
She's the reason I left.
Boom. Oh, exactly. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, she the reason why a lot of people left.
Biggest blessing.
Look, she didn't know. She blessed both of us. But yeah. So, anyways, at that time when I was up and coming, I was looking up to this guy because the way that he handled himself, the way that he interacted with his clientele, the person who he was, and at that, we was just talking about this. He's just a little bit. I always thought he was 3-4 years older. No, this man is 8 years older than me. So I look at him like I say, I call him a mentor, like a big bro. I'm pretty sure he always, anytime he probably references me, my little bro Matt.
Always.
I know. I can hear that in the back of my brain right now. Any blessings that he gets, he always tries to pass me some type of blessing every time, literally. One of the most unselfish people that I know. Even within this industry, not everybody trusts each other. He's always been, even when he started his own gym, he was like, Matt, no, I still want us to be working with, we need to be doing something together. Yeah. And I've always been like, yeah, of course. And what you mean? Yeah, you big bro. I'm down for whatever. So anyways, my dog, my homie, I've been knowing him almost, it's got to be 8 years, and we've been in constant contact. We fall off sometimes, as in I won't hear from him, but then boom, next thing you know, he'll be texting me, hey, I got a client for you, hey, I got an idea for you. So somebody that looks out a lot, my guy, Terrance Warren, Boom, from Warranty Fitness. What's up?
What's up? What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me on here. Appreciate it.
Man. What an intro.
Yeah, I know. I tried to build it up, man. So
Appreciate it.
Man,
it's my
hype
dog, man. It's my
And by the
dog.
way, just so before you, we are at, if you guys can't see, we are at Warren T Fitness at Terrance's place out here. But he's gonna tell you a little bit more about that. But yeah, man, go ahead. What do you think about this guy Matt here?
Just like he said, Matt is the little bro. It's great to see where he is now. Like, you know, he'll tell you, I have no problem telling him all the game that I know. I know no secrets. You know, hard work is always appreciated by anyone. If someone's putting the hard work in, so why not sit there and, you know, be their hype man. You know, Matt will tell you, there's been times I call him like, dude, why you not doing this? Like, you should be doing this. Why'd you stop doing that? Okay. Like, you have talents you're not tapping into. Like, let's get it. Like, you know, type of thing. Like, you're doing great. I'm watching from afar. I see all your posts. I don't have to like it. I can tell you everything that's going on. I know what's going on with you and your family. Like, I'm watching, like, you know, I'm proud big bro just watching. And so, yeah, you know.
Tell him to put his shirt on.
Man, nah. When I was Matt's age, I had my shirt off. Like, you know, it's just it's part of it. Like,
I was
you
about
know,
to say, he probably told me to take my shirt
man,
off.
I'm the old man now, so you know, I go ahead and keep my shirt on. I'm married, you know, got kids, you know, so I go ahead and keep my shirt on. You know, I'm at a different stage, but I tell Matt, you know, go ahead and take it off. It's cool. I did the same thing. Let me see, at Matt's age, yeah, I was probably doing bodybuilding shows. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah.
God dang, when you was my age, that's when we probably first met.
Yeah, so let me see. I started my company 9.5 years ago. So
Okay.
it will be basically April of 2014. And so I met Matt. I would have had to meet him sometime in 2013.
Yep.
And so just like he said, he started out, he was one of the people who just, you know, wiping equipment and everything like that. And I remember, I'll never forget, it was one day that sticks out the most. And he was wiping equipment, and me and the person who I consider my mentor, his name is Tony Jones over at Mo City Fitness. We were just sitting there just chopping it up, and he was like, how do I do this? Like, I want to train. And I was like, okay, like, you know, and I always say, everybody get a cert and then holler at me. And, you know, and that's what Tony used to always say to me, and I hear him say to other people. And so, and then from there, he got his cert, then he started teaching the boot camp, and I was still around, but I wasn't, you know, working there anymore. And so every time I talked to him, you know, I was like, okay, hey, try and do this, do that. Like, you know, basically the same things that Tony did for me. And so I've always tried to be that to other trainers. Like, you know, even my staff I have here, like, I give them all the game. I tell them anything you want to know, I'll tell you. You want to understand figures and numbers and all this different stuff. You know, I've been very blessed to have good people around me who've always, you know, honestly didn't hold anything back.
Yeah.
So why am I holding on to something somebody else passed on to me?
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's no need for that. In this industry, it's very cutthroat. It is what it is. Like, everybody sees everybody as competition, but realistically, personality and certifications, all these different things make people different, you know, instructors, or make them different trainers. So, you know, realistically, you're not competition, because you can go to Matt's class and train with me, or vice versa, and, you know, and still get what you need from each person, and not have to, you know, be scared of them taking your client.
Right.
And so, you know, that's just always been my approach. You know,
Yeah.
it's no point in, you know, and hey, if someone's with me for 3 days or they're with me for 3 years, I always say, I want to make you a better person.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of gatekeepers out there.
I was about to say, man, Terrance don't gatekeep, man. I'm telling you, he does not. He be quick to be like, hey, why ain't you doing this? Like you said, why ain't you doing this? Or you should do this. I've been thinking about doing this, but he does not gatekeep. So, man, that is, but you know what, one thing I'm sure that happens is by you giving, you probably get back to, like, whenever, like you say, you get blessed to be in those positions where you have a lot of, like, I know people gravitate around you, like people willing to help, or in general, you have a good way of getting people to want to be a part of what you're doing. And I think that's the blessing that you're getting right there. The fact that you want to help people and that you don't gatekeep and you give out, people are easily pouring into you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've gotten really blessed with, you know, some of the scenarios and things that I've just got put in, and people have been around me, and, you know, like, I have clients who are CEOs of, you know, big name companies who honestly are like friends. Like, I treat all my clients like family. Like, if I train the husband or the wife, or if I train both, like everyone knows that, like, ain't no funny stuff going on over here. Like my integrity of who I am and what I say, I will say the same thing to your face that I will say behind your back. And I've always been that way. No one can ever go back and be like, man, Terrance said this. Nah, he said that to my face. I didn't like it, but he said it to my face. And so I like prided myself off of that. Like, I knew trainers when I first, like before I started training and I was working at the YMCA, I knew trainers and they were doing different things. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. Like, and then as I started looking at like, okay, I'm getting the training, and then I was like, nah, that ain't cool. Like, so it was like a list of things that I was like, I will not do. And I will, keep my name clean. Like, hold some integrity to it. And so I've just always been that way.
Look, Terrance, you a nice guy, bro, but you also blunt too. So you like it made me laugh when you said that, because you like, I say it to your face, like he not afraid that it don't matter how much you paying this man and what you got. Nah, Terrance is gonna keep it real. But I think that's one thing that people like about you too, is kind of like with that, like you gonna treat them like this, you talking to just that, anybody else, don't matter if you a client or not, professionally, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying like you gonna give it to them straight. Yeah. But like that's what some people come for. They're like, nah, I need somebody who ain't gonna, hit me with that bullshit. Yeah.
And there's no point in doing it. Like, especially in fitness, like I feel that a lot of people, like one of my biggest frustrations is trainers who make it seem like they're perfect. And they sit there and they put on this facade and make it seem like they don't drink, they constantly eat clean, and everything's just perfect in their world. Like, they have enough clients and everything's just great and amazing. And that's not true. Like, it's really not that way. And so I just pride myself off of trying to be like honest as possible. Like on my social media, the stuff I talk about is stuff that's happening. Like, I was talking about like mental health. I'm talking about like eating clean. I'm talking about family stuff. Like what you hear, honestly, is just conversations I'm having with people and stuff I'm personally dealing with. And that's, I think, one thing I was telling somebody a couple of days ago. I was like, I may not be the best trainer. I may not be the most knowledgeable. I have a lot of experience and I understand things. I'm not the person who's going to tell you, you're such and such muscle is this. That ain't me. But if you come and say this hurts and I can't do this, okay, I can find a way to strengthen it. And then from there, we can build past it. But, my goal is always just to be honest and shoot it straight. And so, I can relate to people and people can relate to me. I can find different things somewhere along the line that, we can relate to each other.
Yeah. I think that part right there, that's part of the reason why I believe that the way I operate with my clientele too is just like having that interpersonal relationship to where you can relate with somebody, you're a regular person, like, and at that shooting it straight to them, but more so like shooting them the reality of like, hey, look, if you eat this way, it's gonna suck for a little while. You might lose that amount of weight, but is that gonna be realistic? Is that gonna be long term? Is that what we're shooting? Is that what we're looking at doing for the next 2 years? No. So let's start, somewhere. Let's make little good habits, right? And then just let it all add up in the end, but you don't have to, cut everything out or whatever the situation is, right? We don't go from 0 to 100. So, but yeah, having that and then being frank with people and like showing that nobody's freaking perfect. And a lot of these people who try to pretend perfect are miserable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen it. I've been around. It's crazy. I was sitting here just thinking about it. I've probably been in the industry like 14 years now. Mm-hmm. And, I've seen it. I started out training professional athletes and strippers. Like, that was my client. That was like legit my clientele of who I trained. Like, and so I've seen it all. And it's so wild now to see kind of where fitness is and things like that. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and going, like, since you said you started 14 years ago, what got you into like fitness, and why did you want to be like, you know what, I think I want to be a fitness instructor? I'm assuming you probably have like sports background. I feel like a lot of fitness people have some kind of sports background, maybe.
Yeah, I do. But that had nothing to do with it. Like, realistically, I worked for the YMCA. I was a director and I wanted to go for a certain position. And the only department I did have experience in was in health and wellness. And so I kind of finessed them and was like, hey, you pay for my Group X cert. Then from there, I'll do this for 6 months. And then from there, I'll, go for this position. And then I started doing it and kind of tapped into some other things in my personality. And then I was like, okay, well, hey, I need a personal training cert, and they paid for it. And so then from there, I had both of those certs, and I never went back. And so, and it just kind of took off. Like, I thought I was better in an office setting. I was really good at putting systems and things like that, operational. But like, this is just a whole different part of my personality. And I have another story that goes along with why this is, and I'll tell that later. But yeah, so that's kind of how I fell into fitness, and honestly never looked back.
No, that's awesome, man. It's crazy when you say like going into an office, like for me, it'd be so hard. And I feel like we might have talked about it, to go back and work at an office, like 9 to 5. Yo, I'm here 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out.
Yes. And it's funny. And I don't even know if you know this. Going into 2020, I was about to leave the industry. And I was talking to my wife, and I was like, I think I want to go back to school. I don't have my degree, and I've probably completed like 2.5 years, man. I think maybe like 2 years. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a job, like a regular office job.
Yeah.
And from there, I'm gonna go night school. I had a young kid, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired. Like, I work too much, and I'm gonna quit the industry. And then the pandemic happened, and from there, and it was so wild. From 2019 to 2020, I had the biggest jump in revenue that I ever made. And I went up, I think I went up 35%.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2020 to 2021, I went up a whole nother 30. And then from there, it just kept on going. And so that kind of like restored my faith back in it. And so I had to kind of like push that mindset of like going back into an office out. But I was very close to going back into an office, which is like, now I look at it and it's like so weird.
Yeah, so since you were talking about 2020, like your revenue, or like 19 to 2020, was that due to like COVID? That's why your revenue got so...
Yeah, I think I'm probably one of the few trainers who did really, really well. Like, I mean, that's a pretty big jump. I was already doing really well. But yeah, so what ended up happening was a lot of my clients, like for me, as you see, it was more relationships versus transactional. And so everybody just kind of doubled down. And so, people who were training once or twice, they added, 2 more sessions. Then from there, their spouse jumped in. And then we kind of made a pact between all of my clients that, you can only see people who are in the bubble. Yeah. We trained outside. You can only see people in the bubble. If you left, then from there you had to sit out X amount of times. If you got sick,
like whole system.
Like we had a legit system. I never got COVID. Thank God.
Same.
And so so we had like a legit system, and so I was training, from 5 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day, completely packed out.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean,
I think we had an episode where we talked about this too, like how the pandemic, how fitness kind of after the pandemic, like fitness took off, like almost like now we're starting to see even more boutique gyms come out of nowhere. But even like right after the pandemic, I think this was what the episode was about. People really started to value their fitness community and the relationship with fitness after it was kind of taken away, right? Yeah. Or unless once it was like in those, you had to be tight knit circle type situations, or I'm training with somebody that's on the TV that can't see me in person. Like I think people took that. It was like, no, I need somebody to be right up in my. And then just the like personal relationship, going out and seeing this person and having this person, and not even just trainers, but just community wise too. I think more people took a hold of that and really valued that more, because they realized, man, during the pandemic, that shit sucked. Like we couldn't hang out with friends, couldn't do nothing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And couldn't go to the gym and see your gym partners. And so now you see a lot more of that. And so it just so happened for us, it was real good. Yeah. Because fitness wise, same thing. I think the year afterwards, shit started popping for me too. Yeah. So
then you had the whole incident where you got let go on your day off.
Yep, exactly.
On your time off. Sort of say.
It was a blessing. Thank you, Juicebox. All right, because without you, I wouldn't be in the position where I'm at.
You'd still be there, man. Speaking of that, I talked to someone recently, today, actually. They text me.
Wow.
And they were just like, man, I hated you. I hated it. And I'm like, well, what are you like? Are you gonna just quit? You gonna get out of there? They're like, well, I need to find something to fall back on. They have something that's like on the side, but they want something a little bit more concrete
I get it.
to fall back on. And I'm like, I get it, but sometimes you don't have that option, and like you're stuck there, like
Yep.
you're like
a vortex.
it's almost like, well, it's like a financial thing that you have. You're like, man, I can't go do this. But sometimes people are scared to
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go in that
take
limb.
that jump.
It's and that's like, as an entrepreneur, like it's a totally different mindset. Like going into this whole gym situation and things that, like, talking to different people who work for a company, and their mindset of like, what about this and what about that? And I'm like, oh hell, I didn't even think about that. Like that's the least of my worries, and those are like major things to them.
Right.
It's a different mindset of a person who honestly takes that leap, to do and create their own lane.
Yeah.
Versus, someone creates a lane for you and you fill a spot, like, and so.
I think a lot of people are afraid to be in control of their own income.
Yeah.
Like being able to, like having to put the work in, what that takes, having to market yourself and having to constantly do that. It's not that people know it's possible, but it's just like, I think before I even got into it, it was just like, man, it sounds like a lot. I'm comfortable making this. It's comfort, right? You feel you know how much you're making.
Yeah.
And once you go into not knowing how much you're making, but you got the potential to make way more than you're currently making.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary, because you don't want it to go the worst, the bad direction. You want it to go in the way that you think it's going to go, but it don't always happen like that.
We are all here, fathers, dads, right? At different ages. I have one child,
Two.
means-
Maybe three.
Oh my God, man. No.
He's like, no.
No.
And so what would you, so you have an older daughter who's 18,
Yeah.
right? And so that means you were like 20.
So I was 20, and that relationship is like so strained, and, one, I think not knowing how to be a father, and then having a, person that I was with who was immature, and us just being immature and things like that. Like that relationship is nowhere near where it should be.
Right.
And so, that's a whole interesting thing in itself. And I think that kind of molded a big part of how I am now with my son, and the things that I do for him that I didn't get to do for her. And then also like the things of like, moving forward, or what I want to do for my family.
Right. It changes.
You had her when you were 20?
I had it I had my daughter, when I
21?
was 20. She's 18.
Yeah, right.
So I was 20. I turned 21 right after. So yeah, her birthday's in March, and then mine's in July.
That's the same thing like with me. So my daughter was born in November,
Yeah.
and I was 20, and then I turned 21 in January.
Yeah.
So it was almost like the same.
I want to say it's the same thing with me, because my daughter is 10 and I'm 31.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So,
It's something about that age, man. I'm telling you that, man. That
21,
that 20
those oats.
man, it's just, just not
right.
making the best of decisions. And that kind of how that came about. Like I look back on it now, and I'm like, gosh, there was so many red flags and just the whole situation. And, but I tell people all the time, like that whole situation honestly was probably the best thing that ever could have happened to me.
Yeah.
Like, I was in college and everything like that with the basketball team. Then that happened. I had to make a decision like, okay,
Yeah.
do I want to try and be a dad, or do I want to sit here and try and follow a dream or something like that? So,
Kids make you have to
Change.
man up.
They
Yeah.
do. And I know we can get into a lot of that. And I think for some, and I would be honest with you, like there's things that shift, because now, yes, you have a human that you have to take care of.
Yeah.
But as a male, your mind for some doesn't go into full on father. Like, what does it actually take? Especially when you don't have someone there to guide you or to tell you certain things as a dad. Like, because I grew up with like a single mom. I had like me and my sister. I have a half sister, and her dad was around, but it was a different dynamic. Guy he was always at work. Great guy. Like, never treated me badly or anything like that, but it was just a different whole dynamic. And at that age, at 20, I didn't really have much of a relationship with my stepdad, in a sense. Like, not that it wasn't bad, it just wasn't like, I guess, like fluid or consistent or anything like that. And so it's hard when people's like, yeah, you have a kid and it makes you like man up. It does. What makes you shift into like, shoot, now I have a human.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times when, for some, at least for me, like I say, and I admit it, there'd be times where I'm like, man, I have a kid, but I still want to
do all the other stuff you want to do.
I still want to do all this and do all that. And you look back, like you said, and you kind of just like, man, well, what if I did take a little bit more time?
Right.
Yeah. And you know, you look at it and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Like, and, you know, when you're at that age, honestly, you know, the things that are important to you are the things that are important. Like, I made a decision to stop college for my daughter, but then far as like the steps of making sure I stayed present in her life, like, weren't taken. Like, you know, her mom moved her to a different state, and like, could I have probably fought harder? I probably could have, but, you know, me not knowing how to honestly go about a lot of the different stuff, and, you know, and that relationship just got strained, and, you know, and over the years it's just grown further and further apart based off the fact of like, she's with her mom, that's what she knows.
Yeah.
And, you know, I honestly, until probably like the last couple of years, my son's 8, like probably till he was maybe like 6, I didn't really like, I had to say, okay, yeah, I didn't know how to be a father. Like, and even with, you know, I'm married, and, you know, I've been almost married, it'll be 9 years this year. And so, you know, being a husband and learning how to be a father, all this stuff is new. Like, people don't give you, you know, the template of like exactly what to do. And so it's like, okay, here you have this kid, or hey, you have this marriage. And so it's so many other things that go into it. Like, I was telling my wife, you know, a couple weeks ago, I was like, this is probably the best version of a husband you've had. Like, you know, and like, Matt's known me. Like, he knew me when I was like, you know, and this is the best version of me that I've been as a spouse, and the communication still has to be there. Like, you know, we have our moments where it's like, hey, like, this is what's going on. Like, did you know that? And then the other person's like, no, I didn't. Like, you know, and so. Yeah,
and that's a big thing, is just communication. But yeah, I mean, and so a lot of men don't have that, or go through a lot of stuff and don't have the resources or friends or family to fall back on, or to like rely on. And I think sometimes this is why you see a lot of like men that don't know how to communicate or how to like reach out to people. And I tell people, I'm like, I think if we made it a little bit more of a habit for men to just get used to, again, how we train and how we lift weights, and we train chest, biceps, all that stuff. Like, your brain is still a muscle.
Yeah.
Right. And so your brain is a muscle. So if you can just communicate, even if you talk to a therapist or talk to somebody and just say, hey, I'm come once a month, and you have that open communication to somebody and be like, oh yeah, man, like this past week or this past 2 weeks sucked. Like, me and my wife, or me and my girlfriend, me and my kid, or like the kid and I, like, I'm just going through all this stuff, or I'm struggling with this. They're like, oh, okay, cool. But then when things do get serious and things get a little bit more, you're like, it's easier to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm doing, instead of just like keeping it in, you know. And I think a lot of guys that go through that stuff, I mean, I don't know, I would say like maybe they don't do any kind of like fitness, but I think fitness helps a lot for your mental health.
Oh yeah, it's a huge part. Like, I think it's very overlooked, like, honestly, what it does, like, you know, just the releasing of endorphins and like what that does for you mentally. Like, that release is so much more important than people realize. Like, you know, and having that break from other things. Like, when you're doing fitness, you know, doesn't matter if you take a picture of yourself, regardless of when you're doing the activity, it is a break from things. Like, you can't sit there and do the chest press and, you know, text. Like, you can't make a phone call. Like, you have to take a break from it. Like, and so
it is definitely a getaway. One of the many things that I did to get, whenever I was dealing with my daughter's mom, I'm sure we all have had really, we all fathers of daughters, right? So we've all had situations, especially the fact of the matter that we're not with the mother, right? Who who the daughter. So it's just a different dynamic. So, and I'm sure y'all have had y'all situations where you've had a disagreement or whatever, right? Just a situation with the daughter's mom. But one of the things that I did when I was put through a lot of the turmoil, or we were putting each other through turmoil, right? To be fair to her, one of the things that I did whenever I felt I was real angry or depressed or, couldn't see my daughter or whatever it is, it was work out. And man, probably got in the best shape of my life. Dead ass. But, it's a release. It's a release is in like, I'm going to do something that's good for me. And then honestly, I think long term. I think a lot of guys probably think long term. So I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get swole.
Yeah.
But like really in the most realistic way possible, right? I'm just like, man, I'm gonna really work out hard. I'm gonna get jacked. I'm gonna boss up, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna elevate my business, but then also like, and then I'm gonna make smarter decisions when it comes to, the women that I choose to be in my daughter's life, in my life,
Right.
So that was but the fitness part played a huge role all across the board. Y'all know Lacey, Lacey's in fitness. If I would have chose a different route, I wouldn't be marrying the person that I'm deciding to marry. So,
Yeah. So since we all in fitness, so for us, I guess I could say it's easy for us as dads to, in a way, like to stay in shape, to be active, because you're kind of like at the gym for the most part. Like ideally, that's what you would think, right? But do you think that it's harder for men that aren't? Because you all have clients that I'm sure that are dads, right? And so they come in and they get their workout on a consistent, but also are fathers, and they go do their thing. And there's a lot of people that are like, man, I don't have time to go, or I don't have things like that to do. Is there any advice that you would have for like a dad that he thinks is like just struggling with going to the gym?
John's like, give me advice.
Give me advice. I need it. I've been slacking. I like when I was at Sweat. Well, before Sweat, just a little side note, I was at Peloton for like 2 years, and we would deliver things, blah blah blah. There's really no much physical activity. I mean, you would carry like bikes or whatever, but other than that, like there's not really much like gym going on. And then like they would feed us. Like during COVID, bro, they would feed us like breakfast and lunch, and I'm talking about it wasn't anything healthy. I mean, they're bringing like wings, and like for breakfast they're bringing like tacos and burrito, like all this stuff. Anyway, so and then I kind of just felt. Then went to Sweat, kind of was getting back at it,
yeah. And
then I'm kind of like, kind of just back on it. I stopped drinking for a month, which was great, but I do drink non-alcoholic beer. So I don't think that really helps as well. But either way, I still don't have it. I don't drink the alcohol sense of it. But yeah, I guess like, yeah, I mean, what would you tell somebody like, hey, if you're trying to get into fitness and you are busy, or you're a dad, like what is the number one thing that you feel like they should do?
Yeah, well, I kind of dealt with that recently myself. Like, so I opened the gym. It's been open now 6 months. And my biggest thing was like, taking care of the stuff at the gym. Then my second priority, realistically, it became the second, which is sad, but was I wanted to make sure that I was a present husband, and then also, home for my son before he went to sleep.
Yeah.
I leave the house at, 4 a.m., 3:30. And so it was like, okay, every day I want to see him. I want him to see me before I go to sleep. So fitness honestly became like very like the bottom of my list. Yeah. Like, and so, it wasn't honestly until recently that I really honestly addressed it, because everything just kind of got out of whack. I wasn't working out regularly. My eating wasn't as regular. Like, I'm a big guy. Like I weigh 225. Like I am not a small guy. And so, I wasn't eating enough. So that changed everything. And so then from there, it just started to kind of affect my mental. And so I started taking steps of changing workouts and doing things that I can, if it's 15 minutes, do it.
Yeah.
If I could break it up and do 15 minutes here and 15 minutes, and it's a little bit different for me because I'm in the gym.
Yeah.
But it's the priority of like, okay, something is better than nothing. Like, and that's what I always tell my clients, like, hey, I get it. Life happens. Like, especially a person who works a whole bunch. Like, when you get off, do you really want to work out? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Like, and so, doing something is better than nothing. The times that you do have this downtime that doesn't affect your family time, like, go ahead and slide that in there and do something. Like, you know, you could do Tabata. You could do like, you can get a legit Tabata workout in. People kind of overlook that. That's like now is something that, you know, people honestly don't even talk about.
Yeah.
And that's a solid workout that you could do if you can't do anything else. Like, you know, setting up one training session, that accountability of that I have to meet this person, pay for something that somebody is going to be waiting for you to be there.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and the person that you like, you know, people pick trainers and instructors and gyms based off of, you know, someone who has a style and something that they like. So that makes them want to go. There's times that they don't feel like it, you know, gets them there. And so,
right. I think you hit it on the head right there. But real quick to back up too, it's because you were talking about, you kind of dipped into like, hey, you put your relationship on the back burner. Look, like I don't know like how other relationships do, you know, things like that, especially with people who start businesses. But men, we just can't. We're not great at multitasking. When I say multitasking, like the relation, somewhere within there, something is gonna take a dip. Like we're good at but we're great at compartmentalizing shit and being like, I know I need to do this, but I'm gonna really do the hell out of this right now.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. It's just women, the ladies who are listening to this, you gotta understand like the person that you're with first off. But also you got to understand, men, like when it comes to these type of situations, especially when you got something that we hold a lot of value to. Now, look, not to say we don't hold value to the relationship, but also you got to remember when it comes to our business and everything that, you know, that we do financially, that is adding on to our relationship. That's how we're thinking of it, because we know if we go under, that's going to fuck up everything.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing we're thinking about is I have to make sure that this shit works. So I got to put this first for a little bit. We can, you know, and then even then, like I'm gonna put us on the back burner just a little bit, but you know, still do little sweet things here and there, and you just gonna know in about a year when things is popping,
we're good.
Then we going to Spain, then we going to Italy or something, you know.
Well, and that's the same thing we were saying a second ago, like before we were on, like, you know, how women, you know, how they're naturally nurturers. Like women are emotional. Men are physical, but men are protectors. Like that protecting, you know, type of role, you know, providing falls up under that. Like, you know, and how we look at our role of providing and doing things for our family, like it's like all in, like, you know, especially like the entrepreneur. For you, that takes like, there is no real like back, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just go do this. Like you've put time and money and invested like so much into it and sacrificed so much of relationships that you don't want whatever you've put this time and energy into away from those things to fail. And so, and it's kind of like you don't accept like failure. So what does that mean? That means that, you know, other things are gonna, you know.
Failure is not an option.
It
really is not an option.
I know. And so we're going to wrap up here. One more thing. And I think we kind of just briefly, I kind of just asked you this. And I think this is kind of one thing we're going to be doing with people as we end every show. What are 5 movements, exercises that, if those are the only 5 movements that you can do for the rest of your life, what are they? Only 5.
Number 1, push up. I'm gonna put push up in there. You gotta have some upper body strength. You gotta be able to get yourself up off the floor.
Yeah,
a good functional movement right there.
Yeah,
5.
I'm a squat guy.
Squats.
A squat and a proper lunge. Like, you know, I like, you know, everybody's always, I can't do lunges and okay, do this, do that. Like, let's change it. Let's go 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Front knee right above your heel, you know, back knee right up under your hip. Like, you're like, that feels different than the lunge that a lot of other people start doing. And so I would go those 2.
I said, wait, is it just him or is it both of us?
You can chime in too. Yeah,
I was about to say, hey, look, I'm gonna let you go, but I had something that came to the brain. I'm like, I posted something earlier today about like athletic ability, like how people don't, like a lot of, like the big thing right now is strength training. So I'm like, a lot of people are putting athletic performance or just being an athlete or like their athletic ability on the back burner. So I'm like, I would love to be able to run, not sprint or like, hey, run 20 miles. I'm talking about just, if I could pick up and run. Y'all seen that Kevin Hart where he ran and he tore his, if I can run, but like without hurting myself for the next couple weeks, like 20, 30 years comfortably,
Yeah.
I would love to be able to run. So that's one thing I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would go ahead either a push up or I'll probably put a chest press in there.
Chest press.
Yeah.
Gotta keep
Dumbbells
the chest.
or
I'm a dumbbell guy.
dumbbell.
I'm bar is cool, but I love to isolate. Like I'm and then from there I'll probably.
He just want to be able to do this. Flex this.
In my young days, yeah. I'm say squat lunge, chest press, with some dumbbells.
Squat lunge, chest
And
press.
I honestly, I do what I call them toe touches. Basically, legs up, hands up, touching your toes as an ab exercise versus putting your hands behind your neck and doing like a crunch. It's essentially a crunch. But there's a little bit more to it too. It works on the flexibility, also, stretching out those hamstrings. Everybody can't straighten their legs out, and so, locking those legs out, touching your toes, not putting that pressure on your neck. I can roll with those 4.
Cool. You got one more. So you hit legs, you hit chest, you hit some core, shoulders, biceps, some arms. No?
I'll probably,
Curls for the girls?
But see, curls, I do curls different. Everybody, what they call them, 777s. I like, I'm hitting upper, lower, full. That's like to me, that's bicep curls.
Okay.
And we do, and we do that with, and I do it with lighter weight, versus, going to heavy weight and just doing 777. I go 15 reps on each. And from there, we're going biceps and, elbows on the front side of your body. Yeah. Don't let them go back and go into your shoulder, because that's what you're not really lifting. If you over here doing this and your elbows behind your back, you ain't doing no biceps.
That's where it's at, right there. Yeah. People always like swing it back and forth. They're like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Cool. That was a good 5. Yeah.
Boom. I got my 2. Pushing. Couldn't give a shit about my legs. I'm running on them boys.
Nah, man, you gotta get those legs, man.
Nah, I'm just messing. But those 2 right there.
Well, thanks for having us, man. Thanks for having us here. You guys come check him out.
First off, kick check real quick. He knew I was about to pull something out, so he wanted to wear the Travis Scotts. And
these are my work shoes, man.
I ain't even exactly. I was light too. These I ain't pulling out.
I didn't pull out anything custom. I didn't pull out anything that ain't nobody else got.
Thank you.
I went very simple. These are my work shoes.
Thank you for
that's my excuse.
Because he will. He more of a shoe head. Yes.
Oh man.
He more of a shoe head than probably anybody I know.
I probably got like a light 350.
Man.
I got like a light 3. I am not a shoe person at all. But before we get out of here, man,
I got a light 1. 100 something.
Where's Warranty Fitness located, and what do y'all provide? What are your services here?
Yeah, so we're located in Spring Branch, and honestly a very booming area, which is pretty crazy. We provide personal training. We're a personal training gym, but we also have a full scale of group X classes.
Okay.
And we have everything from a HIIT to a boot camp to a circuit to just traditional strength and conditioning. We have classes for seniors 55 and up. We have dance cardio.
Cool, man. That sounds good. And they can just look you up on Instagram or just Google you.
Warranty Fitness. You put it in, they'll pull up everything we have. It's the same from Instagram to our webpage, Yelp, Google, all of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Hey, follow your boy, Warranty Fitness. Y'all reach out if you're looking for a great trainer, somebody that you can be able to not only get results from, but somebody that's going to treat you, like a human being, and then shoot it to you straight and give you one of the best experiences of your life. Yeah. You go holler at him.
For sure. If you're in the Memorial Spring Branch area, if you don't like to really go too far, some people don't like to drive 15, 20 minutes anywhere. So, but if you're in this area, Spring Branch, Memorial, west side of Houston, come holla at Terrance.
Yep.
But yeah, man, thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it, man.
Looking forward to connecting again at another episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Point. All right.
Yeah.
Cool, man. That's season 2, episode 1.
One down.
We are out.
We out.
Peace.